Stella, first off, behind us, many NGOs and members of civil society are walking out of these negotiations. Can you understand why they are angry with the process and angry with, I guess, what they see as 20 years of inaction?
I think the process is really too slow. I mean, damages produced by climate change are so dramatic, so evident to all of us, Philippines and tornadoes in US. And also in Italy, we had a major storm in Sardinia with some 16 people dead and 3,000 out of their homes. So we had the last report from IPCC. It's absolutely clear temperature is rising and is made by man. And we all have to make efforts to change this thing with serious changes in how we produce energy and with serious adaptation strategies. So I definitely can imagine why NGOs are leaving the conference. They're giving a signal of how dramatic is the situation and how many big changes we have to make, and we're not making them.
In terms of your own position as a member of parliament, has it become harder to talk to people about climate change and the need to invest in new technologies because of the economic problems that, the world has been facing, but you're from Italy, so Italy has been facing too?
There's a terrible misconception, as there are people thinking that we can have time to set economic crisis and then time to care about nature. And this is simply not possible. What we have to do is to tackle the emergencies together, economic crisis and climatic crisis together. And through the efforts made in changing energies, changing production, changing consumption, we can also find a way to promote a new development, to promote the creation of jobs. So the solution to both problems is practically the same. Just do every effort to maintain environmental equilibrium, to respect nature, to promote a complete transformation of the way we produce and consume things. And this will bring at the same time to reduce the effect of climate change, reduce the temperature rising, and promote growth, promote development, promote jobs.
While the EU is responsible, I suppose, for a relatively small part of global emissions, it is regarded in this forum as being very important in terms of demonstrating leadership. Do you feel that the EU has managed to demonstrate a clear message regarding climate change at these talks?
I think EU should play a much bigger role. I think EU must be involved in, make the steps forward that are necessary to remain leaders in this changing. And it's very important for the EU to set specific targets for 2030. We had the 2020 targets that were very efficient. They worked brilliantly. Practically every country is on the way to respect them, and we should really find agreements to have 2030 targets on the three issues: on reduction of emissions, on renewables, on efficiency, and to have them quite ambitious, to put them in quite an ambitious way. So at least 40% less CO2. At least 30 for renewables, at least 30 for efficiency. That's my opinion. EU must lead the process. I think we should play a much bigger role, and I think there are countries which are more reluctant than others. Poland, notoriously, is a country which has not been so courageously bringing forward renewables and efficiency, and is still producing a lot of energy by coal. And it's quite strange, quite a contradiction that COP19 is exactly in Poland. We should try to find this as an opportunity to bring also this country to reflect on how important it is, and not only see this conference as a possibility for high-level speaking, but without specific efforts, without specific results.
I guess it's difficult in Europe to put too much pressure on one individual country, because I suppose coming from the UK, one of the big problems that many critics of Europe see is being over-regulated and pushed into doing things that some countries don't want to do. So how do you bring a country like Poland along with you? How do you convince a country like Poland to become more energy efficient and to cut those cut its pollution levels?
Well, I think all European countries should simply understand that as a single country, we're not going anywhere right now. There were big countries, UK, France, Germany, but we're not going anywhere right now alone. So we should make a force for changing. It's just a matter of how quick we are to understand where we have to go and how many big losses do we have to suffer before the changes are made. So time is very important, and for sure there is climate change, and for sure we have to change the situation. So for Europe and for every single country of Europe, it's a big opportunity just to stay together, harmonize our legislation, and go together towards the new goal, the new future, the new economy.
Just looking at Italy, there have been some interesting reports from the International Organisation on migration recently about the levels of climate-induced migration. Italy, in many respects, is at the front of having to deal with the migration patterns from Africa, and it's resulted in a number of very sad, tragic cases, and especially in the past few months. How relevant is this whole climate issue in Italy? How is it being discussed? Is the sort of the prospect of more migration and perhaps more disasters like this alive within the political discourse at the moment?
Well, I guess it's quite two separate questions. Migration should be more viewed as a European question. We're asking for Lampedusa, which is the small island, which is the south door to Italy, to become a European door. It's not the way to get into Italy. It's a way to get into Europe. So there should be a presidium from the EU, and we should be also a lot more efficient in our asylum policies and in our possibilities to let people in. Climate change is, I must admit, not particularly discussed in Italy, although we are a very vulnerable country. We have our land is so compromised by building methods, by nuts, and we have to build a national plan for putting our country in security, really. So adaptation is a very big issue for us. But also we have made enormous efforts in promoting renewables, in promoting energy efficiency. So we have right now 28% of electricity which is made by renewables. We should go forward to it. I mean, there's not an enormous awareness of climate change in Italy, but we're making an enormous step forward for new energy, for efficiency, and we are dramatically called for a national strategy for adaptation.